President Trump says he will be announcing reciprocal tariffs on every country sometime this week. That means the U.S. would match any tariffs foreign countries place on it with identical tariffs of its own. These tariffs would come on top of the many already announced by the president, including the 10% tariffs on all Chinese imports that went into effect last week. In response, China hit the U.S. with tariffs of its own on American imports, such as coal, crude oil, and agricultural machinery on Monday. Kip Eideberg joins us now. He's the Senior Vice President of Government and Industry Relations at the Association of Equipment Manufacturers. So, Kip, your organization represents off-highway equipment manufacturers in the U.S. Think construction, mining, forestry, agriculture. These reciprocal tariffs impact agriculture equipment specifically, tractors, harvesters. What percentage of the manufacturer's business is exporting to China?
Well, thanks for having me on, Lindsay. These tariffs are a clear and present danger to U.S. equipment manufacturers. In 2024, our industry exported around $3.5 billion worth of equipment to China. And so obviously any tariffs on exports will drive up the cost of making equipment in the United States, and will make us less competitive in the global economy.
I want to ask more about those real-world implications, because the president also announced Monday he would be imposing 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports into the United States. So will that impact the businesses you represent as well?
Absolutely it will, Lindsay. Last time we saw tariffs on steel and aluminum, the cost of making equipment in the United States went up by between 7 and 8%. Now, that made it more difficult for us to compete in the global economy. It led to price increases for our customers, and it disrupted our supply chain. So this is no way to make American manufacturing stronger and more robust. It's no way to make us more competitive in the global economy. All it will do is will delay investments and cost jobs.
You mentioned delay investments, cost jobs, the real world implication. So this means hiring freezes, layoffs also, in addition to consumers in America spending more?
All of the above. And the other thing here to note is that every time we have a threat of a tariff and then it's rescinded and then there's another threat and then that is rescinded, that causes havoc for our industry. Uncertainty is the biggest killer of business, and not knowing how to plan because of different tariff scenarios, that will also delay investments. That will also lead to hiring freezes. So the uncertainty, the tariffs, the disrupted supply chains, all of that is bad news for U.S. equipment manufacturers.
Obviously, one of the president's arguments, one of them is the trade deficit with some of these other countries. Another is more domestic manufacturing. I mean, can any of the manufacturers that you represent get on board with those arguments?
Look, ours is a global industry in a global economy. We have customers around the world. We import parts and components from countries, including China. But these are critical parts and components that cannot be sourced at scale from anywhere else. So we depend on them. Obviously, we always want to source anything that we put into a piece of equipment as close to the manufacturing plant as possible, but that's simply not the reality in today's economy. And you look north to Canada, that is our biggest export market in the world. Almost $10 billion worth of goods go north to Canada. If the Canadians retaliate, as Prime Minister Trudeau has indicated that they will by putting a 10% tariff on equipment going into Canada, that's going to wreak havoc for our industry. And it also ultimately will be harmful to both Canadian and American farmers, ranchers, contractors, et cetera. You know, none of that, again, will achieve the president's stated goal of making American manufacturing stronger, more competitive.
Kip Eideberg, thank you.
You bet.